Junpyo kept staring at Irene's head while her arms circled his back. Having her so close made him happy, and more than anything, he wanted to hug her back, but he feared that she would think he wanted to take advantage of her. Unknown to both Irene and Junpyo, someone secretly took a photograph of them and quickly left the scene. Irene finally pulled away from Junpyo. She had an embarrassed look on her face, as she feared that she may have crossed the line and ruined Junpyo's mood. "I'm sorry, sir," she promptly apologized. Junpyo smiled. "It's okay, Irene. You were excited and with good reason." "Thank you so much, Mr. Junpyo," Irene beamed. "I promise not to let you down." "I believe you," Junpyo replied. "Now let's go inside and get you admitted." Irene was all smiles as they made their way into the school. She recalled how her dad had promised to send her to a music academy if she served the guests at his marriage anniversary. She has been so happy to get the opportunity, and although it wasn't a prestigious academy, she still wanted it so badly. In the end, he went back on his word, framed her for theft, and kicked her out of her home. She didn't know why Junpyo was so nice to her. She promised herself at this point that she would do anything to make him happy. Students kept staring at her, and she knew that it was because she was humiliated last night by Hyunwoo. However, it didn't matter to her. Being a Spark girl was a big deal, but her career wasn't tied to the agency. Since her manager had already threatened to ruin her, she doubted that the 3 years contract she signed with the agency would benefit her anymore. Due to Junpyo's presence, she was quickly attended to and given forms to fill out. When they had almost rounded up, Junpyo's phone rang and he said, "Meet me at the car, Irene." Irene nodded while he walked out. When she was done, Irene came out of the office, rushing to meet Junpyo. She accidentally bumped into someone, and her bag fell in the process. "I am so sorry," Irene said as she bent to pick up her bag. When she looked up and saw that the person she had bumped into was Minji, she frowned and moved aside so she could leave. However, Minji pulled her back. "What are you doing here? Is this a place for someone like you?" Irene folded her arms and stared at Minji with a smirk on her face. Minji smirked. "What are you feeling so proud about? This is not Star Agency where you can sleep your way to any position you want. This is a prestigious academy for elites. No matter how much you dream, Irene, someone like you can never make it into this academy. If I were you, I would be too ashamed to even show my face in public. The video of your humiliation is all over social media. It would be better for you to disappear before I gather a crowd and humiliate you even more." Irene was about to retort when 2 girls ran over to them exclaiming, "OMG, it's Irene." Minji smiled, thinking the girls wanted to make fun of Irene. However, they introduced themselves as Yuna and Jiwoo. "I am a big fan of yours," Jiwoo exclaimed excitedly. "Me too," Yuna replied. Irene stared at them in surprise. "Fan?" Minji snorted. "Oh please. Why be a fan of this shameless loser when there are so many better singers out there?" "Like you?" Yuna asked mockingly. "Aren't you the evil sister who tried to sabotage Irene during her performance? You should be ashamed to even open your mouth in public. Don't think everyone has forgotten what you did. And when I'm talking to my idol, shut the hell up." Idol? Irene couldn't understand why she would be anyone's idol. "Yes," Jiwoo replied. "You have an angelic voice, but what I admire the most about you is that you did not allow that jerk, Hyunwoo, succeed in his plans." Irene was even more surprised. "You know Hyunwoo personally?" "That scumbag is my ex," Yuna replied. "I am so happy that he finally got what he deserved." "What are you talking about?" Irene asked. At this point, Minji, who was about to walk away, paused. The girls had hit a sore spot by bringing up her public shame. And now that she realized how quick-witted their mouths were, she didn't want to spend another minute with them. However, she was curious about what happened to Hyunwoo since he had humiliated Irene in a way that made her very happy. "Are you serious?" Yuna asked. "The news is all over social media. Hyunwoo was caught with drugs and has been arrested. There are intimate pictures of him and Soare. Those two were having an affair despite the fact that Soare is married. Even the manager who accepted to collaborate with Hyun-woo has been implicated. Rumor has it that Star Entertainment Agency fired him for bringing disgrace to the agency. I can't believe that you are in the dark concerning these things. Everyone is praising you for not allowing Hyun-woo to turn you into one of his victims. You really dodged a bullet, dear. Both Irene and Minji were surprised by the news. Minji quickly went on social media, and when she saw the news, she angrily left the three girls. Listen, when it comes to giving real-time accurate information, no one can beat Ji-woo and me. You not boasted. We like you, Irene, and it seems you are new. We can be your friends and assist you whenever you need information. What do you say? Irene smiled awkwardly. She had lost all the friends she made over the years, thanks to Minji. She preferred to be on her own, especially since she was now in the same academy with Minji. Okay, she replied. She gave the excited girls each an autograph as well as her phone number before walking away. When she got closer to the gate, she saw Junpyo walking toward her. Realizing she had kept him waiting, she ran toward him and said, "I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting, Mr. Junpyo." Junpyo sighed. "I was wondering what happened. Are you okay?" She nodded. "I bumped into my sister as well as two girls who wanted autographs." "Okay, let's go." On their way back home, Irene recalled what the two girls had said about Hyun-woo. She went online and confirmed that they were saying the truth. No matter how she thought about it, someone must have targeted them. How could she be so lucky? She thought about how Minji had been humiliated on stage, and now Hyun-woo and his accomplices. The only powerful person she had on her side was Mr. Junpyo. But if he had done it, why didn't he say anything to her? She stared at him, but his gaze was fixed on the road. She hesitated for a while but finally asked, "Mr. Junpyo, I heard about what happened to Hyun-woo, Soare, and Jae-wook. Also with Minji back then, did you have a hand in what happened to them?" "Yes, I did," Junpyo replied. "Because you have me now, you are under my protection. Irene, anyone who makes you cry will face my wrath. I can assure you that they will not know what hit them." Irene stared at him in surprise and admiration. So this was how it felt to be under the protection of Junpyo. Junpyo saw the pleased expression on Irene's face from the corner of his eyes and smiled. He suddenly pulled over and stared at her with a smile on his face. "Are you impressed with me?" "Huh." Irene wasn't expecting his question. She gulped. I am beyond impressed, Mr. Junpyo. I am immensely grateful too. Meeting you is the best thing that ever happened to me. Now that I think about it, being kicked out of my home was a blessing in disguise." Junpyo chuckled, feeling pleased with her words. "Let me drop you off so you can prepare yourself for tomorrow." He drove Irene back home, and she happily waved him goodbye. As he drove to work, he felt content. He had made some sacrifices for Irene, including giving his driver some time off, so he could always be alone with Irene in his car. She was just so adorable. The picture of Irene hugging Junpyo was sent to a young woman named Seo-yeon. She balled her hand into a fist. Knowing Junpyo, she was sure that he would not let just anyone hug him. This meant that they had a special relationship. She angrily threw her tablet on the floor, breaking its glass. "What are you doing, Junpyo?" she yelled. Picking up her phone, she called her brother and asked, "Taeyong, what has Junpyo been up to lately? What else will a workaholic be up to?" Taeyong asked. "But why are you suddenly asking me this?" "No reason," Seo-yeon replied. "I'll be in Seoul first thing tomorrow. Let's all meet and catch up tomorrow. You, me, and our best friend Junpyo." The next morning, Irene was woken up by her alarm, and she quickly got ready for school. She had been so happy yesterday that she spent her night dreaming about her first day as a student in the college of her dreams. She put so much thought into her outfit and even wore light makeup because she did not want people like Minji to look down on her. When she came out to have breakfast, she noticed that the housekeeper was frowning at her, but she was too happy to care. She left after eating and began walking out of the estate so she could get a bus. She suddenly heard someone honk behind her, and when she turned, She realized it was Junpyo. She walked over and stood by his window. "Good morning, Mr. Junpyo," she beamed. "Young lady, where do you think you are going to?" he asked. "I'm going to school," Irene replied, surprised by his question. Junpyo shook his head. "Do I need to remind you that you are famous now and should not move about recklessly?" Recklessly? Irene could not understand what was reckless about going to school early. Since the road to her school was on the opposite side of the road that led to his office, she decided to make things easier for him, but he considered it as recklessness? "What are you thinking about?" "Get in, let me drop you off," Junpyo instructed. Irene got into the car, and on their way, Junpyo said to her, "This will be your last week in Star Entertainment Agency. Once you are through for the day, you can go there and sign the termination of your contract. I've already taken care of everything. All you just need to do is sign." Irene was surprised. "I am leaving Star Agency?" Junpyo nodded. "Yes. Next week, you will move to a higher agency. Star Entertainment was just a platform to let the world hear your lovely voice. You do not need to remain in a place where a second Jaewook will appear and try to destroy your career." "Thank you very much," Irene replied. Irene waved Junpyo goodbye and walked in through the gate. Junpyo's phone rang and he answered the call. "What's up, Taeyong?" "Guess who's back?" Taeyong replied. "Seo-yeon is back?" Junpyo was pleasantly surprised. "Why didn't she call to tell me?" Taeyong smiled. "Who knows? Let's all have lunch in our favorite restaurant, okay?" "Sure, I'll be there," Junpyo replied. Irene quickly found her lecture room and went in. She saw Yuna and Ji-woo, and they beckoned on her to sit close to them. She happily obliged, but the smile on her face disappeared when she turned and saw Min-ji staring at her with a shocked expression on her face. She quickly turned her face away and focused on the lecturer who had just walked into the class. At the end of his class, the lecturer announced that they will be leaving for their field trip tomorrow. Irene was surprised because she was hearing it for the first time. She asked her newfound friends about it and learned that she was almost 3 weeks behind and the trip was very important. Determined to catch up, Irene quickly followed after the lecturer and added her name to the list of students who would be leaving. She was going to be back after 3 days, so all she needed to do was tell Junpyo about it and get his consent. When she went back to the class, she could not find Yuna and Ji-woo. She realized she didn't have their numbers since she had merely given hers to them and they hadn't called her yet. She decided to look for them because she wanted to know more about what she had missed. While looking for them, she ran into Min-ji, who had 3 girls by her side as opposed to the last time they met. Irene wanted to ignore her, but Min-ji quickly blocked her path. "So it's true that you now school here, Irene? These days, they will let just about anyone into the Seoul Royal Academy of Music." The 3 girls began to laugh while Irene rolled her eyes. She turned her back on Min-ji and wanted to walk away, but the latter pulled her back and yelled, "Don't you dare walk out on me, Irene. I am not done speaking." "What do you want from me, Min-ji?" Irene asked. "Isn't it enough that your family has stolen everything that belongs to me? Stop making a scene and embarrassing yourself each time you see me, because I couldn't care less about your existence." Min-ji scoffed. "You know what? I'm not even surprised that you school here. It's obvious that you must have slept your way in just as you did at Star Entertainment. Your skills must be top-notch, but then, why won't they be? It's no secret that your mother was a whore." The moment the words came out of Min-ji's mouth, Irene slapped her so hard that she fell on her back and spat out blood from her mouth. Irene angrily walked away, but unknown to her, this scene was captured and posted on social media by one of Min-ji's friends. Junpyo drove to a seafood restaurant to meet with his friends. The moment he got into the private room they had paid for, Seo-yeon got up and threw herself into his arms. Junpyo hugged her, smiling. "I can't believe it's been 1 year already. I missed you so much," Seo-yeon declared. When their lunch was served, Seo-yeon said, "Junpyo, I'll be spending a few days at your villa. You know Taeyong can be a pain in the ass, and I'm not ready to be maltreated by him." Taeyong laughed. I need my privacy anyways, so it's better for me if you stay away. Junpyo smiled. You both will never change. Seo-yeon, you know my home is yours too. You can stay for as long as you want. Seo-yeon became happier and shared stories of what happened during her time away. Irene's mood was ruined by what Min-ji said, especially because she had also heard her father say the same thing once, and she had been so upset. When her mum was alive, her father worshipped the ground she walked on, but now, Irene realized that everything he did back then was an act and her mum had fallen for it. She took the bus home when she realized there was nothing else to do since almost everyone in her class had gone home to prepare for the trip. The moment Irene entered the house, the housekeeper walked up to her and snorted. You are now so arrogant that you go about hitting people. Be careful because soon, you will get what's coming. As she walked into her room, Irene mused over the housekeeper's words. She could not understand how the latter knew that she had slapped someone. While in the bathroom, it finally dawned on her that she might have been captured and put on social media. She hurried out of the bathroom and went online. Just as she thought, the video had been uploaded with the caption, "The truth about Irene, the villain who pretends to be the victim." As she read the comments under the post, Irene was so angry that she began to cry. Some of the comments were derogatory, calling her a whore who slept around, and a few even mentioned her mother. After putting on her clothes, she turned off her phone, curled herself into a ball while lying on the bed, and cried her heart out. After going back to his office, Junpyo saw the viral video and quickly dialed Irene's number, but couldn't reach her. He called his butler, who confirmed that Irene had returned home and was in her room. Without any hesitation, Junpyo left his office and drove back home. He went straight to Irene's room and knocked on her door. Irene got up from the bed, wiped the tears from her eyes, and opened the door. The moment Junpyo saw her, he knew she had been crying. He held her hand and led her back to the bed. Sitting beside her, he asked, "What happened?" Irene wanted to explain, but when she opened her mouth, no words came out. Rather, tears poured out uncontrollably from her eyes. Seeing her crying broke Junpyo's heart. "Please don't cry," he said to her. Irene wiped her tears, but more tears kept pouring out as she found it difficult to forget the things that had been said about her mom. Junpyo moved closer to her and pulled her into his arms, hugging her. One of his hands stroked her hair as he coaxed her. "Shh, it's okay, stop crying. Whatever it is, I will take care of it." Irene's breathing became even and she finally stopped crying. Junpyo let go of her, and Irene suddenly realized that their position was intimate. She lifted her face and stared at Junpyo. Seeing that her face was still streaked with tears, Junpyo cupped her cheeks and gently wiped her tears. Irene's heart began to race at this point, and she subconsciously recalled what Suah had told her at the station. Similarly, Junpyo's heart began to beat fast. He had a strong urge to kiss Irene and couldn't bear to take his eyes off hers. A knock on the door startled both Irene and Junpyo. He let go of her face just as the door was pushed open. Seo-yeon walked into the room happily and exclaimed, "I'm home." Irene stared at her, wondering who would barge into someone else's room without regard for their privacy. Junpyo didn't seem upset by what Seo-yeon had done, so Irene concluded that she was very important to him. He got up and smiled. "Seo-yeon, I had no idea you had arrived." "Well, now you do," Seo-yeon said as she walked closer to Irene. "Hi, darling eye." Seo-yeon paused and stared at Irene in surprise. "Have you been crying?" she asked. Irene shook her head while Seo-yeon glared at Junpyo. "Don't tell me you now make your maids cry." Junpyo shook his head. "What do you take me for?" She smiled, grabbed his hand, and said, "Come with me, I have a surprise for you." "Just get enough rest, Irene," Junpyo said before leaving the room with Seo-yeon. Once they were gone, Irene sighed. Recalling how they had held hands, she said to herself, "That seems to be the woman Junpyo loves, seeing how playful he is with her." Thinking about how she had thought Junpyo wanted to kiss her, and even closed her eyes, Irene felt embarrassed and reprimanded herself. "How could you be so delusional, Irene?" A man like Junpyo will never take a romantic interest in someone like you. He was merely offering comfort. She hoped that Junpyo did not figure out what she was thinking. Taking his advice, she decided to get some sleep, but she couldn't bring herself to do so, as she kept thinking about the woman Junpyo had called Seo-yeon. She decided to use the time in getting ready for her trip tomorrow. After packing up everything she needed for her trip, she realized that she had not told Junpyo about it. She quickly washed her face and changed into a more beautiful dress before leaving her room. She went to Junpyo's door but noticed it was locked from the outside. After searching for him around the house, she asked the butler if he had seen Junpyo, and he told her that Junpyo was outside. She went out to meet him, and after walking to the left, she saw him and Seo-yeon standing by the pool. They were talking and laughing, and each held a glass of wine which they drank from. Seo-yeon was very beautiful, and as Irene stood for a while staring at the both of them, she concluded that they were a perfect match. She walked over to the pool to meet them, and noticed that the smile on Seo-yeon's face disappeared the moment she saw her. On the contrary, Junpyo smiled at her. "You look so much better, Irene. Did you get enough rest?" Irene nodded. After a moment of awkward silence, Irene finally said, "Mr. Junpyo, I want to inform you that I'll be going on a field trip to Gyeongju tomorrow and will be back in 3 days." Junpyo frowned. "You just started and they are already making you travel? I'm not comfortable with it. It is important for me to go since failure to do so would affect my grades," Irene explained. "Let's talk more about it in the morning and see if it's worth it," Junpyo said. Irene nodded and walked away without realizing that the news she had just given to Junpyo had ruined his mood. Needless to say, Seo-yeon hated Irene. The fact that she could so easily influence Junpyo's mood convinced her that she needed to get Irene away from Junpyo's life permanently. Junpyo belonged to her. He always had and always will. However, she couldn't show her true feelings because she needed Junpyo to always see her as the angel in his life. "Why has your mood suddenly gone sour?" she asked, feigning ignorance. "You seem upset by the fact that the little girl is going on a field trip." Junpyo stared at Seo-yeon, realizing that his expression was giving away his feelings. He finally smiled. "It's not that I'm upset. It's just that Irene is innocent and naive. I don't want her to be harmed." "But how can that be?" Seo-yeon asked. "She's at the age where field trips, first kisses, and sex gets really exciting. Just let her have all the fun and learn the right lessons." Seo-yeon's words made Junpyo even more uncomfortable and upset. "Can you still hold your liquor?" she asked after coming up with a plan. "I guess so," Junpyo replied. She excitedly dragged him toward the winery, saying she wanted them to compete as they usually did in the past. Irene stared at them through the window and found herself feeling sad and jealous. "What is wrong with you, Irene? Mr. Junpyo was merely being kind to you. Don't forget your place." After reminding herself of her position in Junpyo's life, Irene began going back to her room so Junpyo and Seo-yeon would not catch her secretly looking at them. However, she bumped into the housekeeper, Mi-sun, on her way back to her room, and the latter smiled. "What is it, Irene? You look really sad," she expressed in a mocking tone. Realizing she was deliberately trying to goad her, Irene ignored Mi-sun and walked away, going straight into her room. Meanwhile, Junpyo and Seo-yeon went to the winery and began to drink. Each time Junpyo wanted to give up, Seo-yeon would boost his ego. In the end, they were both really wasted and rested their heads on the counter. The butler helped Junpyo back into his room, while Mi-sun helped Seo-yeon into one of the guests' rooms. However, when she got into the room, Seo-yeon, who had earlier pretended to be drunk, sat up. She stared at Mi-sun and said, "Tell me about that Irene. I want to know exactly what her relationship with Junpyo is." "I wouldn't really know, ma'am," Mi-sun replied. "Mr. Junpyo just brought her one day, and suddenly he was taking her to perform at different shows and caring for her. Recently, she was accused of theft, and it turned out that it was the chef, Suah, who was responsible. Mr. Junpyo got her locked up, and ever since then, she's been in police custody. Interesting, Seo-yeon replied. What do you think about Junpyo and Irene's relationship? The housekeeper shook her head. I don't have any thoughts on their relationship, ma'am. Come on, relax. You can be free with me, Seo-yeon said. You know, it is very likely that I'm going to end up as Junpyo's wife, so I need someone to be my eyes and ears in this house. If you're willing to work for me, I will compensate you very well and make sure you always keep your job in this place. Okay, ma'am. I will do whatever it is you want. Mi-sun replied. Seo-yeon smiled. Good, I'm glad we have an understanding. So tell me, what do you think about their relationship? Mi-sun said, Well, I think Mr. Junpyo pities Irene and is just trying to help her. However, she has ulterior motives. She wants him for herself. A few hours ago, I saw her secretly watching the both of you while you were outside with so much hatred in her eyes. Really? Seo-yeon asked. Yes, ma'am, I saw it with my 2 eyes. Sometimes, girls who look too innocent are always the worst, so I'll advise you to watch your back, Mi-sun said. I'll keep that in mind, Seo-yeon replied. Thank you, you may leave now. After Mi-sun left, Seo-yeon thought about her words. Is it possible that Junpyo is just being kind to Irene? I don't think so. She recalled back when they were in college. She had once asked Junpyo, At what age do you intend to get married or have a girlfriend? Because since I've known you, you've always been single. At the time, she had been planning to confess her feelings to Junpyo. However, Junpyo said, I'll never get married and I'll never have a girlfriend. I don't want any girl close to me. You are the only female in my life, and that's good enough. But why? She asked. I have my reasons, he replied. Just know that girlfriend marriage. I'm not interested in all that. I want to build my own company and take it to the highest level. I want my name to be a household name so that when people hear about Junpyo, they will cower. That is my biggest dream. It was at that moment she told herself that she was going to remain by Junpyo's side as his friend. Since he didn't want to have a girlfriend or get married, if she told him about her feelings, he'd avoid her. She decided to keep clinging to him. Being the only female in his life wasn't going to be a big deal, and someday, if Junpyo suddenly decided that he didn't want to be alone anymore, she'd propose a marriage agreement to him. After all, they were very close friends. He was definitely going to agree. Junpyo cared for her so much that he could barely say no to her request, just like her brother Taeyong. As she recalled everything, she sighed. This is not what you said back then, Junpyo. Why did you get so close to Irene? Irene woke up in the morning to her phone ringing. She stared at the screen. It was an unknown number. She quickly answered it. It turned out to be Yuna, who was so excited to hear her voice. Finally, Irene said. I was wondering when I was going to get your number. Oh, I'm so sorry, dear. I've just been busy preparing for today's trip. So are you ready for it? Are you coming? Yeah, sure, I'm coming, Irene replied. Ah, it's really sad that we're not going to be in the same room, Yuna said sadly. What are you talking about? Irene asked. Oh, you've not heard about the reservations? No, I haven't, Irene responded. The list came out just this morning. It seems you are not in our class KakaoTalk group. Don't worry, I'll send you the list and tell the admin to add you to the group, okay? Ji-woo and I will be in one room since that's what we'd applied for. If only we had met you then, we would have asked for you to be put in the same room with us. Yuna explained. Oh, I see. Thank you very much, Irene said. Do not worry, I'm sure your roomie will be nice. It's just for 3 days though. We're going to party and have so much fun together. And we'll also take lots of pictures. I'm so excited. Yeah, so am I, Irene replied. After the call ended, Irene began to wonder who her roommate was. Yuna sent her the list, and when she looked, she noticed the name, Ara Moon. She didn't know who the person was, but she decided that she'd get along with her until the 3 days were over. Perhaps she'd find out who Ara was when they got on the bus. She was meant to leave at 4, and Junpyo had said he wanted them to talk about it. So after checking her bag again to ensure that she had carried everything she needed, she left her room and went towards Junpyo's room. She knocked on his door, but there was no response. She knocked again, but she still did not hear any response. His door was unlocked, and for a moment, she contemplated opening it, but she was afraid. Recalling how she was accused the last time because she went to his door, she decided not to. With Seo-yeon around, she didn't know what the succeeding days were going to be like. She didn't want to give anyone a reason to paint her as a bad person in front of Junpyo. She went to the butler to ask, "Have you seen Mr. Junpyo around? Or do you have any idea if he's still inside his room?" "Yeah, I think he's probably having a hangover. He had so much to drink last night. But I saw Miss Seo-yeon this morning going into his room, so she's probably caring for him." "Oh, okay, that's better," Irene replied. She went into her room and waited. However, Junpyo never came out of his room. Each time she came out, she noticed that Seo-yeon kept going into his room and coming out. Eventually, she gave up trying to speak to him. When it was a few minutes to 4, she packed her bags and left, knowing that the bus was leaving at 4 and she could not afford to be late. Eventually, Taeyong tried to reach out to Junpyo, but couldn't get across to him. He wondered what was going on and called Seo-yeon. She told him that Junpyo had a terrible hangover. Why did he drink so much when he knows that his hangovers are usually really bad? "Seo-yeon, did you put him up to it?" Taeyong asked worriedly. Seo-yeon smiled. "Come on, I forgot. I just wanted us to have a good time." Taeyong hurried to Junpyo's house. He went into his room and saw Seo-yeon sitting beside him on the bed. When Junpyo finally sat up, he asked, "What really happened?" "What happened was that you let Seo-yeon trick you into drinking to stupor," Taeyong replied. "Trick me?" Junpyo stared at Seo-yeon as the events of last night came back to him. "Yes, Junpyo. Have you forgotten that you usually have terrible hangovers each time you drink? Why did you endanger your health?" Taeyong seemed really worried. Junpyo recalled what had happened the last time he drank so much and said, "Yes, that's true. I guess I didn't think about it last night." "I'm sorry," Seo-yeon said. "You know it's been over a year, and I completely forgot." Taeyong frowned at her. "You just came back, and you're already putting his life in danger. Come on, you sound as though I almost killed him. Are you okay, Junpyo?" Seo-yeon asked. "Yeah, I feel a lot better," Junpyo replied. "I fed him some soup, so he's okay," Seo-yeon said. Junpyo got up from the bed and said, "Excuse me." They waited for him while he went into the bathroom, freshened up, and came out. "What's the time?" he asked. It should be a few minutes past 4 or 5, Taeyong replied. "Past 4? Did I sleep for so long? Where's Irene?" Junpyo asked. "I don't know," Seo-yeon said. Junpyo hurried out of the room and met the butler. "Where is Irene?" he asked. "She left for her field trip." The butler replied. "Oh no." Junpyo felt very uncomfortable since he had not had the chance to speak to Irene. He picked up his phone and dialed her number, but it was switched off. "Why are you so worried?" Taeyong came out of Junpyo's room and met him in the living room. "I just need to know if Irene has arrived safely," Taeyong replied. "You just told me now that she went to Gyeongju by bus, isn't it?" "Yeah," Junpyo replied. "Gyeongju by bus should be about 1 hour, 30 minutes. What are you so worried about?" "I guess you're right," Junpyo said. "Come on," Taeyong said. "Now that you feel so much better, let's go out. We're not having any drinks, okay?" "I second that," Seo-yeon said as she walked toward Junpyo. However, Junpyo was lost in thought. "What's the problem, Junpyo?" Taeyong asked. "Are you still feeling uncomfortable?" Junpyo, who was sitting down at this point, got up and said, "I think I need to get to Gyeongju." "What? Are you kidding me?" Seo-yeon asked. "Yes, I'm worried about Irene," Junpyo replied. "Come on, Junpyo, Irene might be 18 years old, but she's not a child. I'm sure she can take care of herself." Seo-yeon tried to discourage him. "Yeah, she can. Excuse me." Junpyo hurried into his room, picked up some of his things, and dashed out of his house. Taeyong could not stop laughing at Junpyo's behavior, since he had never seen him so affected by a girl before. However, Seo-yeon was very upset by it. "Junpyo, hold on, Junpyo." She kept calling out as she ran after him. "I'll be right back," Junpyo said as he got into his car. He began driving out of his estate and called Ji-hoon, saying, "Irene, find out all the details about her trip to Gyeongju and get back to me right now." After calling his assistant, Junpyo called his pilot and said, "Meet me at the hangar. We're going to Gyeongju right away." Earlier in the day, after Irene left Junpyo's mansion, she went to the gate of the academy where 2 luxurious buses were parked to take them to Gyeongju. She arrived on time, just before the bus got filled up. As she stood, staring at both buses, she wondered which one to get into. Then she heard Yuna and Jiwoo calling out to her. "Come in, Irene, we kept a space for you." She looked through the window and saw the 2 friends she had made. She smiled and hurried into the bus with her luggage. She sat in between them, and they began to gist. "We're so excited about this, it's going to be amazing. Have you seen your roommate?" "She's here on the bus," Yuna said. "You mean the girl called ARA?" Irene asked. "Yes, she's the one you passed in front," Jiwoo replied. Irene stared at the girl from behind and asked both Yuna and Jiwoo in hushed tones. "Is she a nice person?" Jiwoo said, "Well, I wouldn't know, she's a new student just like you, but I'm sure she's a nice person." Irene sighed in relief. She wanted someone she could get along with since she had 3 days. She was also worried that she did not get the chance to speak to Junpyo before leaving the house. She looked at her phone, contemplating whether she should call him. It was at this point she realized her battery was low and said, "No, I'm not going to call him. He might still be asleep, and besides, he might be busy with Miss Seo-yeon. I don't want to interrupt whatever they're doing." After making up her mind, Irene put her phone back into her pocket. The drive from Seoul to Gyeongju was smooth, and in no time, they had arrived. Irene met ARA, who was also searching for her, and they both introduced themselves to each other. Together they went into the lodge which had been arranged for them to spend the next 3 days. As they got into their room, ARA began to unpack, and so did Irene. ARA suddenly asked, "Did you hear that we'll be performing 3 days straight, which means that after today, we'll still perform tomorrow and the day after tomorrow?" "I thought there'll be eliminations," Irene responded. "Oh, I see you've gotten the details." "Yes, that's what they said. Those who scale through today will move on to the next stage, tomorrow, and those who don't make it will be dropped. Those who scale through tomorrow will move to the final stage, and at the end, only 3 will be selected. Those 3 will perform during the school's annual party. Imagine what an honor it'll be. Artists from all over the world will be invited to attend. It's an opportunity to get noticed and grow even higher. I'm very sure I'll make it to one of the top 3, ARA said, smiling. I wish you the best, Irene replied. You know what, why don't we do a duet? ARA suggested. Irene felt uncomfortable with her request. Well, I'm more of a solo singer. Besides, I already have a few songs I've written, so I'm hoping to perform one of those for each of the days. ARA smiled. Okay, it's not a problem. It was just a suggestion. I was thinking we could help each other out. As Irene took her towel and went into the bathroom, ARA quickly went to Irene's bag, checked her phone, and noticed that it had gone off. She tried to turn it on but realized the battery was dead. She saw Irene's charger and took it out of her bag. She also noticed the flyer which had the address and all the instructions for the contest. She took the flyer out too. She hid both the charger and the flyer under the bed, including her own flyer. After a while, she sat on the bed, pretending as though nothing had happened while waiting for Irene to come out of the bathroom so she could also take her bath. Her phone rang, and she quickly answered the call. Hi Minji, she said. Tell me, is Irene coming for the contest? Minji asked. Of course, we were on the same bus, and we're now in the same room. She's getting ready. Good, Minji replied. Don't worry, you'll be highly compensated. Of course, I trust you, ARA said. When Irene came out of the bathroom, Ara went inside to take her bath. Irene began to get dressed. Once she was ready, Ara came out too and began to get dressed. Irene decided, I'm going to just tell Junpyo about this. At least now he should be awake. He can't spend the whole day sleeping. She took out her phone to call him, but her phone had gone off. Oh no, can you wait for like 20 minutes? Let me quickly power my phone. It's okay, Ara said. Irene searched her bag for her charger, but suddenly could not find it. I thought I brought my charger. Can I use yours? Irene asked Ara. Oh, I'm sorry, while I was trying to get ready. I forgot mine too, Ara said. Irene sighed. Okay, no problem. She thought about borrowing Ara's phone to call Junpyo, but she knew he did not take calls from strange numbers. So she left it, telling herself that she'll ask either Yuna or Jiwoo for their chargers. If that did not work out, she would simply get a new one before tomorrow. That way, she could speak to Junpyo and tell him how everything went. When she was ready to leave, Irene put her hand into her bag to bring out the flyer given to her by Yuna. However, she couldn't find it. I can't find my flyer, she said to Ara. Oh, I got you, Ara replied. She put her hand into her bag and took out everything, but she couldn't find her flyer either. I also can't find mine, Ara said. I seem to have lost it. Irene's face fell in disappointment while Ara said, I know the venue though. I've been to Gyeongju before and know it like the back of my hand. I'll take you there, and we can even get more flyers from our friends. That's so much better. Irene heaved a sigh of relief. They both left the room with Irene putting on a pink top with black jeans, while Ara wore a black gown. They took a cab and stopped by the entrance of a big 3-story building. It seemed as though each floor was used for a different purpose. Irene stared at the building. It didn't look like what Yuna had described to her. As Ara came out of the cab, Irene asked her, Are you sure this is the place? Come on, this is the place. I can't make a mistake with that. We already have less than 1 hour, so I think we should hurry up. We don't want them to start without us putting down our names, Ara replied. Okay, let's go. They both walked into the ground floor of the building and noticed that nothing was happening. It should be the next one, Ara said to Irene. Irene followed behind, and they both went up to the next floor. The moment they went into the building, however, Irene was convinced that this wasn't the place. There were mostly males and only 3 ladies who were dressed in revealing outfits like hookers. The men all had knives strapped to their pants, and they looked like dangerous gangsters. Irene became filled with fear, and at this point, Ara gasped, Oh no, I think I made a mistake. It must be the building opposite. Come on, let's go. As they turned to leave, some of the men, about 6 of them, suddenly surrounded them. Ara began to shiver. Please, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have come here. Just let us go, she pleaded. The men ignored Ara, and one of them stared at Irene and said, You, I recognize you. Aren't you that beauty with the angelic voice? He tried to touch Irene's breast, but she slapped him on his cheek. He retaliated by slapping her back, so hard that it made her stagger. One of the men behind caught her. The guy she had slapped showed his teeth and threatened, Because of what you've done, I will make sure you suffer. He pointed to Ara and said, You scram. Ara, who was pretending to shiver, turned and ran out of the hall. She went down to the ground floor and called Minji, saying, It's done. Good, Minji replied. Now get over here. It will soon be time to perform. The guys who surrounded Irene smiled lecherously at her. She began to tremble as her eyes brimmed with tears while saying, Please, please let me go. And why would I want to do that? The guy asked. We're all going to enjoy you tonight. You know what, guys? Let's make it more fun. Irene realized at this point that the guy she had slapped was the leader of the 6 men. He walked over to the counter, mixed some substances into a glass of drink, and brought it to her. However, she refused to drink it. 2 men held her hands on both sides, and the leader forced her mouth open, placing his fingers between her jaws. He poured the whole content into her mouth, and she choked, pouring some out but swallowing the rest. 2 minutes later, she began to feel uncomfortable. The men all left her and began watching her in anticipation. Irene, who was now out of her wits, began to rub her body, saying, "I feel hot. My body is so hot." "Oh, your body is hot?" the leader asked excitedly. "Come on, let me help you take off your clothes. I promise you'll feel better." As his hands went towards the hem of Irene's top, she tried to push them away. He said, "Come on, baby. I want to help you. You have to strip." After saying that, he held the pink top and tore it into two. Irene gasped in surprise as the only clothing left on her body were the pink bra she wore and her black jeans. Her belly was exposed in front of the men who were all staring at her as though they wanted to devour her. Irene shivered, but her senses became even duller. She caressed her body, rubbing her belly and breasts while the man said excitedly, "Let's also get rid of the bra. It makes you look ugly." His hands went towards her breasts, but before he could touch her bra, 2 hands caught his wrists and flung his hands. Afterward, a slap landed on his face so hard that it made him stumble backward. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so as to get notified when we drop new stories. Like and share to family and friends, and finally tell us where you're watching from in the comment section, and we will see you in our next video.